Hey everybody, good morning. Let me fix this. Good morning and welcome to another video, a David's Deep Dive. Give me 1 second while I get my presentation ready for you. How is everybody? Can you hear me? If you can hear me out in the world, please comment. I would greatly appreciate it. If you can hear me out in the world, please comment. Say I can hear you. It's always good to say good morning. Let me stop sharing that. Let's see our chat. Great. Awesome. Let me hear. Thank you. Let me see how many people we on here. Awesome. We have a total of 18 people on here, which is an amazing number. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and dig deep today. Something that's really near and dear to my heart. Let's go deep here. Good morning. Oh, I should probably put it in presentation mode before I start sharing. That would help. Makes it easier on you and I. There you go. Zoom in front of me. Here we go. And go back here. There you go. All right, everybody. Good morning and welcome to David's Deep Dive. Every week I come at you, give you information that really will benefit your life and your business. The things that are really important to me are making sure that I give value. You know, just right now I was on a conversation, and I want to share this before we begin because I think this is something that we can all benefit from. Hold on, let me throw this up on where are you at? I guess I can only do one at a time. I was going to throw it to Facebook because I thought it'd be cool, but whatever. Facebook doesn't need us. All right. Well, you know, one real thing. Just I'm going to ask you this question. You tell me if I'm wrong or I'm right. But you know, somebody messaged me right now and sent me a picture of them starting a new workout routine, and they put day one, and that was it. Okay. And what it made me think about, obviously I congratulate them on their success, right? But this isn't the first day one this person has sent me. And it isn't the first time they've done something like this or that they've ever thought about doing something like this. And so I want to ask you, how many day ones have you had in your life? How many times have you told yourself you're going to do something that you know you need to do or could benefit you? And you started for a little bit, you lost, you know, you got excited, caught some momentum, and then lost momentum, and then decided to stop. And then weeks or days or weeks or whatever transpired, years in some cases, pass by and you don't do it. And then it comes back again, right? You do it again, day one. And so it's always this day one. How many day ones have you had in your life? I just want to know. Let's just from health or from exercise, right? Eating right, diet, or habits, right? Like, you know, maybe a habit of saving or a habit of investing or you know, how many day ones have you had? Is it 1, 2, 12, 13? How many? Come on, somebody comment here just because I want to know. Because I feel like I've had a lot of day ones. I feel like some people have day ones every Monday. Some people have day ones every first of the month. Some people have day ones every year. Anybody been there? I mean, I'm 38 years old. I would probably say I'd venture to guess that I've had about 30, at least since when you start understanding these things, at least 18 to 20 of those years, I've had a day one, which is usually December 3rd or January 1. And usually, you know, it's like a health or a fitness or some sort of diet, right? Anybody want to admit to how many day ones they think they have? I don't see a lot of you guys. You guys are all quiet this morning. Help wake me up. Too many to count. There you go. And that's true, right? I mean, I'm telling you day 120. I mean, it could be me. It could be 100. It could be, it could be 1,000. Now, you have all these day ones. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because every time I've ever committed to something and actually made it work in my life, it has been by result of me making an investment. So we're going to talk about that today. So my name is David A. Pettis. If I haven't had the opportunity to meet you, serve you, or work with you in some capacity, I wrote a book called Building Your Own Economy. It is the real true way to build independence and freedom in your life by taking control of your life and really sharing with you how you can take full responsibility for everything that happens and never have to worry about anything again. So today I'm going to go through one of my favorite topics, which is how or why rather you need coaches and mentors in your life. Now, some of you, I don't have to tell you this because I know some of you personally, and maybe maybe you're already going through this, but I want to remind you, reiterate, refresh, reframe all the re's here of why this is so important. So here's the number one thing, right? Coaches help you first off see the big picture. They see things like my coach, one of my coaches says, you can't see the picture when you're inside the frames. They help you see that. They help you build confidence. Confidence is the one thing, everything that affects everything. And they help you become more self-aware. So that's probably the telltale sign of a good leader is somebody who's very self-aware. You see, I'm very self-conscious. Conscious is probably a bad word, but let's just say I'm self-aware. And I think every single day about the way that I communicate, the way that I drive, the way that I not drive literally, but the way I drive my words to the world, my impact to the world, how I communicate with others, how I connect with people, how I use words and language, what I do. All of this, I'm very, very, very cognizant. I'm thinking about every single day. And I've learned to do this. I wasn't born with this concept. I really learned to be this person through coaching. So let me share with you what coaching has done for me. Now, I've done some prior videos about, finding things to learn from and get mentorship from, but here's really what it comes down to. So coaching has done a lot for me. Without really knowing it, I think I've had, at least 20 coaches or mentors over the course of my life. And in fact, I think you could find mentorship or coaching in pretty much anywhere you go. It just depends on how you interpret it. So coaching has done a lot for me. In fact, I think some of my early on coaches that I didn't really know were coaches were like my parents. I don't know about you guys, but my parents coached me. Now, your parents can coach you negatively and they can coach you positively. Like there's some coaching that I received from my parents that probably should not have been good for me or aren't good for me. Maybe the way that they thought about money wasn't a good coaching for me. Maybe the way that they thought about health wasn't a good coach for me. But I do believe that if you really understand why coaching is so important, then you can start determining who's a good and who's not a good coach for you in specific areas of your life. But I do believe that there is going to be a benefit to you no matter where you get coaching. So my early on coaching experiences were really with books. My first real book that I read in personal development to help me get better, which was coaching, was a book by Brian Tracy called No Excuses. And the real premise of the book was to eliminate the concept that there are excuses that come into play when making decisions to do better for yourself. And all of those things came to me when all of that book told me and came to me through the book was, David, you can't make excuses. In fact, I remember finishing that book and going to lunch with, I don't even remember who I was going to lunch with, but I remember going to a business lunch and I had a totally different perspective on life right after I read the book, like totally different perspective. I kept on telling myself, in fact, it caused me to do a lot of different things. Like for an example, and this is coaching through a book. It's not even a person. So let me tell you what it did for me. I remember I would, drive to work every morning. And from where I lived to where I worked is about a 15-minute drive at the time, maybe 20 minutes. And that may not seem a lot for some of you because some of you may live far away, different cities and bigger cities. But for me, that was a long distance. And so when I would, on my way to work, I would drive to work. I remember, there were times where I would forget things. Like I would forget my keys to the office, or I would forget, maybe my gym bag, or I would forget my notes or my laptop, or I would forget something that was really relevant to my day. And I remember before I read this book, if something happened like that, I would just go to work. Sometimes I would show up at the office with no keys because I forgot them. And I would just hope that somebody would show up on time or get there sometime after me that had a key, So I literally would sit in the parking lot like an idiot and just wait there until somebody brought a key, because I was on my way to work and I already had driven 7 minutes in one direction. I wasn't about to go back. That was me before I read this book. So what changed for me is that I realized that the reason that I was doing that is because, I had no other, I had no training, I had no coaching, I had no development that told me I could do different. And so what I did is I would just go on my way. I'd say, that's a long drive back. If I add 7 minutes this way and 7 minutes back, that's an additional 14 minutes. I could probably use that time and wait outside the office. Somebody will show up, they'll use their key, and I don't have to have my key. Life goes on. Well, what I learned is that through the book, life doesn't answer to excuses, it answers to action and result, and then does produce results. And so what I did after I read the book is, like, literally every day I would drive to work, and if I forgot something, I would tell myself, no excuses. Successful people do the things other people won't. And I would turn my ass around and I'd go get my key or my laptop or my book or whatever I forgot. And I would do it every time. And I probably did this habit for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of just having to go back to, I finally came to the conclusion that I needed to make, like, in my mind, somewhat of a mental checklist of what things to bring. But I always made it a point to drive back. And if I was driving back to go get it, I would tell myself, successful people do the things unsuccessful people wouldn't do. And this is one of those things. And I literally would yell this stuff out loud in my car. I would say, today I will do what others won't. Today I will go back. Today I will, I will invest this time. I won't lose time. I'll invest it. I would talk to myself about the things that I was going to do. Now, nearly after that, I started to engage with somebody who, at a higher level, his name is Tony Robbins. Now, Tony Robbins is a motivational coach. He calls himself, the guy. I don't know what he calls himself these days, but what he is he helps you get really close to who you are internally. And I just started to listen to some YouTube videos, and I started to engage with Tony in that way. And after a few months of really engaging with Tony Robbins and really understanding what he was doing and how his videos had really taken a real good perspective of who I was and what I wanted to accomplish, because I knew, by the way, I knew I needed coaches in my life. I just didn't know who. And what I really knew more than ever was that I needed somebody to help me get right. Let me state that again. I needed somebody to get me right, because I think that there's different levels of coaching, and there's different times for coaching. But I don't know about you guys, and maybe you felt this before, but I knew I wasn't right. Like, I knew I wasn't, and I don't mean right. I just knew there was something that I needed to change in me. Like, I knew it inherently, for something into said, I'm not living my best life. Like, there are things that I don't understand, and there are people in my life that I probably shouldn't be associated with. And there are things that I'm doing that I need to probably eliminate, but what are they? And I had, like, all these desires to change, but I didn't know who it was. And when I met Tony really made me kind of see things differently. And then I registered for an event, which I've probably shared with some of you before. And that event was called Unleash the Power Within, UPW. And that event really changed my life. That was the first coaching session. It was in a group session, because this was literally, I think there was 3 or 4 or 5,000 people in this room, but it was my first experience with coaching. And from that event came me really understanding that coaching, which is by nature somebody helping you to find or see something you did not see before, someone to expose and help you become more confident, and someone to give you more of an awareness. That's what Tony did to me. And after Tony, I said, well, gosh, I got to get more of this. And so I signed up to do another event with Tony. And that really sparked a lot of my interest in coaching and development. And I'll tell you that it costs some money to do this, but I didn't invest a lot of money at first. Buying the book was, $10 or whatever for Brian Tracy. Going to the UPW event was the most expensive investment I ever made in myself, but something inherently told me that I needed to do it. So coaching literally had transformed my life about 8 years ago, when I started to really realize that I needed a coach or a mentor. I needed people in my life. There's somebody, he may be on here and I haven't seen him, but somebody early on, his name is Stacy Barnes, which was a good friend of mine, or who is a good friend of mine today, and who started me out in a personal development journey. He was a coach to me without him knowing. And he really put a lot of ideas in my mind, helped me uncover some of the strategies that I was missing in my business and in my personal life, because I don't believe you can get very far in life without having this right? This thing needs to be right before you can do anything else. And so coaching has really changed who I am today. And I want to inspire you to think about how you can get coaching. Now, this event isn't just for people who want to get better in their careers, because coaching can help that, or mentoring can help that. But it's also somebody who wants to get better in their relationships, somebody who wants to get better in their personal life and their health. These are all areas of your life that they'll be coaches. and mentors, and you've got to seek out and find them. So what is business or professional coaching or a mentor? What is a business, right? Coach or professional mentor? Here's what it is. A business coach. Business coaches are typically experienced entrepreneurs and business owners themselves who decided to use their talents for building and growing a business to help other business owners reach their goals. Now, I'm going to talk about it specifically to business in this case, because I think most of you are in some sort of form of business. Now, you can relate this into your professional life. Like, you don't have to be a business owner. You can just think about your career in general. You see, what I've learned is that I have specific skill sets, and those skill sets have really come by way of me going through a lot of experience. Like, many people want to be a coach to somebody. Like, for an example, I hope they're on here because I want to offend people. There are people out there who consider themselves health coaches. You know, they go out and they proclaim to be health coaches, and they tell people how they should live their healthy life, but yet they're out of shape and they're not healthy, and they believe that starvation is the secret to success in your health and goal of weight or whatever, right? Like, they're idiots, right? But the reason I say this is because they have no experience in the health industry. They have no experience in coaching people in that aspect, but yet they proclaim to be experts. So what I'm trying to say here is that typically coaches have tons of experience in entrepreneurialism, in business ownership, in executive leadership, in some area of their life. And because they have that experience and because they have a proven track record, you now can benefit from those coaches. So I built a very good track record in building companies, aligning people, creating teams. These are things that I've done, and I know I can coach businesses on because I've done it. Okay, I would never coach on health, even though I feel like I have a very good grasp on health. And I do, I have coached people in some health results, but I'm not going to go out there and charge thousands of dollars to tell people or sell you some sort of product that wouldn't benefit you. I just wouldn't do it because I'm not that guy, and I don't believe in those things. Like, I believe that things that you should buy from coaches should be from people who have results. And losing weight is not a result, in my opinion. Losing weight, anybody can do it. Just don't eat for a day, you'll lose weight. Don't eat for 5 days, you surely will lose weight. The result should be what you want. Losing weight should never be a result. If you're going with a coach in your health, for an example, I like health because it's easy to use. The coach should never say what's your goal weight. The coach should be what's your ideal body type. What do you want to be? Do you want to be strong? Do you want to be fit? Do you want to have endurance? Do you want to have, and then you start building from there. Then you say, okay, well, based on that, you're going to need to take in this many calories, this many carbs, this many proteins, this many, and so on and so forth, what they call macronutrients. It shouldn't be, well, here's 3 shakes a day and you just chug these things and don't eat all day, and I promise you're going to lose weight. Well, no shit, right? Anyways, so what does a business coach do? A business coach serves as both a trainer and a mentor, training you to the skills you need to be successful in business. And of course, serving as a source of information should you ever have a question about what you should do. So for an example, I just started a coaching program with a group of entrepreneurs who are really going to take their business in the tax industry to the next level. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to serve as a trainer, a mentor, and a coach. And what I'll be doing is giving them my experience. I'm going to be sharing with them my experience and my wisdom in the specific area of business to help and promote their growth. And what I'll be is the source of information that is time tested, is battle tested, and I'll be answering the questions that they have along the way so that they have somebody who can guide them. You see, I think a coach is a guider. I don't decide what you should do. I guide you to what you should do. I shouldn't tell you what to do. I should ask you what you want to do, and then guide you in the direction that best suits your needs. So I believe good coaches ask questions and don't give answers, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to give you an answer. I want to ask you a question. When you say, David, why should we do this? I'd say, well, why shouldn't you do this? You see, I'm going to reiterate that. So what can a business coach help you with? New business owners. I mean, what can a business coach help with, rather, not help you with, help with? They can help with new business owners. They can help with business executives, the existing business owners who want to get out of a challenge, such as bankruptcy, existing business owners looking to reach a new level of success, and anybody who wants to improve. This is what they can do. So I wanted to share some stats with you because this is something that was very eye-opening when I started to research this, right? A study conducted by Metrics Global LLC showed that businesses who paid for coaching saw a $7.9 return from every dollar spent on those services. So coaching, every dollar they spent, $7.9 came back in return. Now you can say that in general. So let me give you some examples. Some of you may be team members, and some of you may be employees. And let me give you some examples of what this really means. You see, you should not wait around for an employer, your boss, to give you coaching, to seek out and hire somebody to do this. Although I know a lot of them do. I know a lot of employees are just sitting around, just, well, if they get it from me, that's cool. If they don't, they don't. You know, you should take a proactive approach to your development. And the way you do that is through finding out coaches or seeking out mentorships or watching and discovering videos that can provide you skills or knowledge or wisdom that you can then take back to your job. And then you become a return. So if somebody told me that, you know, they're worth more money than what we're paying them, one of the primary questions I would ask is, what investment of, you know, what have you done to invest in yourself that now makes you worth more? And if they just told me, well, I've been working here for a long time, that doesn't give me anything. Because if I have given you everything to be successful, like say you're working for me, I don't believe I need to give you a raise because I did everything for you. I think people who deserve raises, who get the $7.9 return, are typically those who do it proactively on their own. Only 22% of entrepreneurs have mentors when they start their businesses. And this is interesting because 22% of business owners, that I believe that to be so spot on. I see so many businesses today who are starting, or business owners who are starting today, and they do call and they ask for advice. Like I get calls all the time, messages all the time, emails all the time. David, I need help. And typically it's with the structuring of an entity, the formation of a team, the creation of XYZ or training, whatever. And I get these questions. And then typically when it comes down to it, they just had one question and they don't want to pay me after that, right? Like it's like they want to do it all themselves. They want to figure it out. And it's all because they don't think, by the way, they don't think that they don't value paying somebody is really what it comes down to. And paying people is where it counts. So 92% of small business owners agree that mentors have a direct impact on the growth and the chances for the business to succeed. And 89% of business owners who don't have a mentor wish they did. It's just cabbage. Let me do some more. 30% of business owners who had just one interaction with a mentor reported growth. The top 3 things business owners ask their mentors for help with are human resources issues, growth, business expansion, and startup assistance. I think the most is growth, business expansion. 88% of business owners with a mentor say they have one, having one is invaluable. And 70% of entrepreneurs who receive mentorship serve 5 years or longer. So survive rather 5 years or longer. And I think that's a telltale sign of the business beliefs in mentorship and coaching. So I know this may have been a little different for some of you because maybe you're not in this mindset, but let me kind of end with this today. When I was putting this together, the one thing that kept on coming to mind are all the business owners that I engage with on a daily basis who just aren't willing to pay to have coaching in their lives, who are just too cheap, who have yet to find the value. In fact, I've talked to about 20 different business owners over the last, 5 or 6 days, who I'm asking if they'd like to join a coaching and mentorship program with me. And some of them said, let's do it. And some said, I'll think about it. And what continues to come to light for me is that there are people out there who just don't believe in spending money to learn. And they don't believe it so much that they won't give $1. Like I actually had somebody tell me that they were just simple people with simple dreams and simple everything, and paying more than $20 a month to be part of anything is too expensive for them. And, that's just a mindset issue, in my opinion. You see, if you want to make $20 a month, then you will never spend $20 a month. Like you're just, it's a mindset issue to me. And I think the more you invest, the more you get in return. So in the last, I'd say in the last 12 months, let's use just 12 months for an example, I have probably spent in excess of $70,000 in personal development. No, I would say more than that. I'd say close to 100,000. And people would say, well, that's crazy, David. That's like a lot of money. And I would say, yes, it is a lot of money. I'm not going to downplay it. I'm not going to say that I'm rich. I'm just going to tell you, because I did that, I have made more than 100,000. Like I've done it. I've done it because every interaction that I've had in a coaching program has been to elevate and get my money back. In fact, one of the larger investments in myself this year, the first thing that I said, before I even made the investment is, I got to figure out how to get my money back out of this. And I looked over at my wife and I said, if we do this, we got to figure out how to get our money back. Like there's no messing around here. Like this is a large sum of money. When we make this investment, we got to get it back. And lo and behold, right away, I mean, literally in the next few days, I made 20 grand and 10 grand and 5 grand and 4 grand and so on and so forth. And it's come back to me. Now, you may not be in the business world. You may be thinking, well, I can't do that easy. Trust me when I tell you, if I told you that you went out and you got a mentor and a coach, or you asked for coaching and mentorship, or you went out and read 10 books on your specific topic or subject or work area, and you did this all on your own, without your boss, without your employer having to pay for it, engage with you, or tell you to do it. If you did that, when you came back to work, you'd be 10 times better. And because you're 10 times better, trust me, compensation follows. Compensation follows that. It does. It always does. I know it does, because it's just what happens, guys. People pay for talent. And if you're not talented, it's because you've never got coaching or mentorship. That's the honest truth. Your talents are very limited. Your ability to scale or grow is very limited, because you only know what you know. You don't know what you don't know. That's what a good coach or mentor does. They help you see the unseen. They help you get outside of the picture so you can see it, because you're in it. So when I think about people who are so against mentorship, when they're so against coaching, it's really them not being able to comprehend the investment strategy. Now, let me end with this last thing, okay? For those of you who have invested in coaching and mentorship, okay? For those of you who have, here's what I'll recommend to you. Because if you have, here's what you need to know. It never ends. Number one, you have to continue no matter what. It doesn't have to be with the same person. It doesn't have to be the same mentor. Just continue on, find more people to mentor and coach you. Number one. Number two is maximize every opportunity. Do not just invest your money in coaching and mentorship unless you're going to take it seriously. Like giving your money away, buying courses and buying online things is just a waste of money if you're not going to maximize them. And trust me, I've wasted a lot of it. Usually now you build this tolerance. You know how, for an example, when I used to spend my $300 on coaching, which I bought let's say an online course, I used to like work real hard to get every dollar out of that, and I'd pump into it and ask questions and dig deep. And it was because that was a lot of money in my investment strategy for learning, right? Today, if I invested $300, it wouldn't be enough for me to take it seriously. And so I don't. Like literally, I don't make $300 investments in training or coaching anymore, because it does not push me to work that hard. I need to elevate myself. It's like a tolerance level for me. My tolerance has increased. So now I need to invest high amounts of dollars so that I can feel like I'm committed at a high level. And that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to spend $97, then you're going to spend $397, then you're going to spend $997, then you're going to spend $10,000, and then you're going to spend $50,000, and then you're going to spend $100,000. And it's going to become a tolerance level for you. And every time you do that, what happens is you now become more and more aware of your commitment levels. And your commitment level is really important to the growth. So if you look at your paycheck this week, many of you, if you're getting paid on Friday, I would allocate a few bucks to personal development. What book are you going to buy? And by the way, I would spend enough money for it to make me want to do it. So $10 for a book doesn't make me want to do it, just so you know. I need to spend, $1,000 on a book, then I'll be like, oh crap, I got to read it. So you better allocate some money. Don't spend don't spend money that won't make you move, that won't make you take action. Spend money, but do it. And I should reword that, invest money. Okay. So do that this week. So any questions, by the way, before I go on to, you should get a copy of my book. Let's see here. You're probably not old enough to remember Groundhog Day. That is a good book, a good movie, by the way. Stacey Barnes. There you go. Oh, look, Stacey's on here. Thank you, Stacey. You were my man. You're the man who introduced me to a lot of the coaching, mentorship, and guidance over the years. So I very much appreciate everything you've taught me over the years, and definitely have introduced me to some of the right people. So definitely, guys. Any other questions or comments in here? So I challenge you all to go find something. If your first investment is my book, do it. Buy my book, get my book, read it. That'll be your first mentorship. That'll be your first coaching. And it's not coaching from a one-on-one standpoint, because that costs more, but that's a good thing. You got to start somewhere is what I'm getting at. And I think there are many people out there who have not bought into this. And that's why they stay in the same position. Their income rarely changes. Opportunities very, very seldom or ever come at them. And then they wonder why the world sucks, and they wonder why these things happen. And the honest truth is because they do the same thing every day. It was this one story I remember reading, that there was a guy who worked at a company for 30 years. And then in that 30 years, he had a position where it was at a factory, and it was like machinery, right? And he was just doing this machinery, and it was the same thing over and over. 30 years of the same thing. And then when he got to the point of 30 years, the company closed down. And what happened is that he lost his job. After 30 years, loses the job in a company that just was good at one time, but then of course over time, like everything, if you don't change, it dies. And so this company died. Then when he realizes he's too young to retire, right, he goes out and he tries to get a job. 30 years later, he tries to find a job. He goes to different companies, and they ask him, okay, what kind of skills do you have? Right on your resume. And he had one company, one job, one company, one job. And they would ask him, at interviews, like, what did you do? And he would say, well, all I did was this, and I just did this, and I just did this, and I just did this. And they would say, okay, cool. Well, and he'd go from company to company, application to application, never could find a job. And, it took him 20 or 30 applications and interviews to finally find a job. And the job that he took was paying less than what he was at his previous company. And he was very upset about not being able to get a raise, or to at least getting the same amount of money. He was frustrated with life. And later on, he ends up finally deciding, well, not finally, he meets somebody at a bar, and the guy was a coach. It's kind of interesting, but the guy was a coach, and the coach was sitting down there. He was a business coach, and he sits at the bar, and the guy sits at the bar, and he says, hey man, how are you? And they have a conversation, and the coach looks over and says, what do you do for a living? He says, well, I'm a janitor at this place. And he goes, oh man, how long you been there? He's like, well, I've been there only a few weeks. And he goes, oh, okay, good. You just started a new career. And he goes, no, I was working for a company for 30 years. And he said, so, what made you leave there? And he goes, well, they closed. And he said, well, why do you think they closed? And he says, well, I guess maybe they never, maybe they just, there's no need for what we did anymore. We sold products that just nobody wants. He said, oh, okay. He goes, so what did you learn in those 30 years? And he goes, well, and he explained to him the method and the practice of what he was doing. And I think it was like some sort of plastic building or something. And the guy says, well, that's cool. And where could you use that anywhere else? And the guy says, well, I guess I can't. And the coach says, why do you say that? And he says, well, everything I did was very specific to that job. Like, that's all I could do. And that's all I've ever done. That's all I've ever known. And the coach says, well, that's probably why you're having a tough time finding someone or finding an employer that would employ you. And he goes, I think what happened here is, and he didn't really want to be rude to the guy, because I think you've been repeating year one for 30 years. And so that 30 years of experience that you think you have is really not 30 years. It's just 1 year repeated over and over and over and over again. And what he was really saying is, you never learned anything. You never grew. You never invested yourself in anything other than just doing this one thing. And it didn't work out. You see, we're meant to grow like a tree or like a plant. The only way we grow is through feeding us. And he just stayed the same size or the same nutrients, the same routine every single day for 30 years. And he comes to realize that that's just not valuable in the marketplace. He's never going to get compensated anymore. And life really sucks. So don't be somebody who just works at a company for 10 years and never gets a new idea, who never shoots to learn more, who never invests in themselves. and who's always waiting for somebody else to invest in them, because that's just not going to come around. You need to invest in you. You need to develop you. You need to grow you. You need to not repeat year one. You need year 2, year 3, year 4. It'd be the equivalent of staying in your freshman year or Groundhog Day, as John Hart said. So if you haven't got my book, Building Your Own Economy, please go get it, davidapettis.com. I promise it'll change your life. And I really appreciate you guys. I know today's topic was a little brutal for me because I didn't really want to beat you up too hard, or I don't think I did, but it's a little interesting when you talk to people about this type of investment strategy, because it's probably the one that pays off the most. People talk about crypto or real estate or stocks and bonds, equities, all that stuff. But here's what I'll tell you. The most important investment is you, because it gives you a return no matter what. And it's the one thing that they can't take away from you. You could lose all your money. You could lose everything in the world, but you can't lose the mind that you invested in. You can't lose the ideas. You can't unlearn things. You can't forget things. Like once you acquire a skill, once you acquire some knowledge, that is in here and it can't be stripped from you. So if you worked at a company for 30 years and you never got any new skills, never new ideas, never knew anything, what happens is you really don't have anything. And when they do take the job away from you, you've got nothing. All right, guys, I really appreciate you today. Today is a Tuesday. You guys have a fantastic and amazing day. Thank you for being here, and we'll talk soon next Tuesday. Bye-bye.